Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how you can complete most of your Git operations and routines using Visual Studio Code. So things like cloning a repository, initializing a repository, staging changes to a repository, committing those changes, and even taking a look at the commit history to get more context on what has happened in that particular repository. So let's head to VS Code and start doing this right away. First things first, let's clone a repository. By the way, by the end of this video, if you need more information about things you can do with VS Code and Git, here's a link where you can check out all the resources that shows you the possible things you can do with VS Code when it comes to Git operations. So I would like to use this particular repository, which is just a side project I've been working on, which is just helping me understand how authentication OAuth 2.0 works. I'm going to copy the link to the repository. Now to clone a repository, you would head to the source control tab, click on it, and then click on clone repository. If you click on clone repository, you'll be asked to either choose to clone from GitHub or just provide a URL that VS Code can clone this repository from. If you provide the repository and hit enter, you will be asked to pick a place where you want this to be cloned into. I'm just going to clone this into the dev/Christian Wamba folder and then select repository location. I'll give it some time and it would clone this repository into the selected folder, and then we can open this repository either in this VS Code instance or in a new window. If I click open, I would have access to this repository, so I can just navigate around, open the server.js to see what we've created, the .gitignore file, package.json, and then the package.json. We can go ahead and start making some changes to these files just to help us demonstrate how staging and committing works using Visual Studio Code. So let's start with adding a simple function called auth, and the function takes a token and probably returns an object that has a username in it. So this username can just be null for now because this is just for demonstration. Now we can just call the auth function. So let's say this is a change we've made to this file, and the first thing you will see once you save this file is that VS Code marks this file as modified, which means that a change has happened to it and that change has yet to be staged or committed to your source control. And you would also see this count of changes from the source control menu, which we can click on to start taking a look at what changed. And you can see that it listed server.js file, and if you click on that file, it will show you a diff of the changes and what the file used to look like before the change happened. Now to stage these files to source control, all you have to do is to click the plus button. Click on the plus button, you've literally staged this file, even though it's still labeled as modified from this section. This is because it's yet to be committed. But if you open your terminal, let's open our terminal and run git status, you can see that this is no longer listed as changes that are yet to be staged. They've been staged instead, but there are changes to be committed. Now to commit these changes, you click on this message text box and type a commit message. So let's just add auth function as a commit message and then hit command enter. Now this would immediately commit these changes, and you can see there are no more changes pending here, and the server.js file is no longer labeled as pending, as modified, or probably pending committing to source control. Also, if you made multiple changes, let's say we go back to server.js and add a semicolon, then go to .gitignore and ignore a .env folder. If you make multiple changes, of course, they will all get labeled as modified, and then the count also will be updated in source control. But what I wanted to show you is that you can actually, you don't have to click each of these plus buttons to stage everything. You can actually just type the message directly. So let's say we updated ignore and server, and once I hit command enter, I would automatically run both git add and git commit for all the files. So you can see all the changes have been committed, even though we don't have to click plus for each of them. So you can skip the whole clicking the add button if you just want to commit everything in that particular everything that has been changed for that particular project. You can explore all the changes you've made in the past, or all the commits you've either pushed or just committed locally to your repository. And you can do that by, while you're still in the source control activity tab, click on the commits drop down and you would see a history of all your commits. Now what you want to do is to compare or just take a look at what changed in a particular commit message. So for the auth function, if we expand it, you would see that we've changed the server.js file, which contains the function we've written. And then if you take a look at the updated ignore and server commit message, you would see that we have two files that's changed. If you take a look at the server one, you would see that all that changed was just adding a semicolon. And for the .git ignore one, the only thing that changed is adding a .env file, or rather a .env line. Now, if you don't want to browse the commit using this tab, you can see it's a bit tacky because you have to like find the commit message, then find the files in the commit message. There's another way to do this. If you just want to find the change that happened to a particular file without the context of all your commit history, what you can do is let's close this. If you head back to the file explorer and open a particular file, let's say open the server.js file, click on timeline at the bottom of the file explorer tab, you would see all your commit history. But the thing about this particular commit history is that if you click on a particular commit message, it would show you only the changes that happen in this file, not the changes that happen in all your project files. So initial commit just shows you that I just added a console.log here. Auth function shows that I added a function, and then the updated ignore and server message commit shows that I just added a semicolon. Lastly, before I let you go, I'm going to show you how to initialize a brand new repository in a project that doesn't have Git initialized yet. So to do that, let's just close out everything we have here. Now I'm going to open the terminal because I can't initialize a repository if there's a repository already initialized in that project. So let's remove the Git folder in this project. Now at this point, you can see I'm no longer getting information about my branch or like whether there is Git initialized in this repository because we've removed the .git folder. If I head back to VS Code, I won't see any information. Rather, I need to reload this. So let's just open a new window. Once you reopen this, you should see that from source control, we're no longer seeing all our source control information. Instead, VS Code is asking us if we want to initialize the repository on this project. If we click initialize repository, you would basically see all the changes we need to add, and then we can add those changes. By the way, if you open the terminal, you should see that we are back to having Git. We are back to having Git in this project. So if I type a commit message and just name this initial and hit command enter, we are back to the original state we were before we removed Git. The only thing is that we've lost all that commit history, and all we have right now is just one commit message, which is initial. Great. I'm trying to make this video as short as possible, so I'm going to stop it right here and go check out every tips I've shared. If possible, I would make more VS Code tips or VS Code and Git workflow tips, but for now we're just going to stop this video here so you don't get bored from watching a long 10-minute video. Thank you and bye.